The views and opinions expressed on Deliberately Linked are entirely those of the host, who are completely responsible for all show content. These views and opinions are not intended to diagnose, treat, or cure in any way any kind of condition, or to promote any specific lifestyle, belief, religion, political affiliation, or personal practice. Nor is the information presented deemed to be accurate or verifiable.
What is up, Deliberately Linked viewers? Lace them up and lock it in, because on today's show, we're changing things up a little bit. Guys, we are touching on something that is deep, not only nationwide, but worldwide. And as we were praying in before this show started, something that we do before every show, Mark said something very impactful, I think, to myself at least, in his prayer. And that basically was about sharing this information with you guys, not because we think we are the most educated on it, or we have the right to talk on this, but more so because it's a topic that needs constant basically informative discussion, because it is an ongoing problem. We are seeing more and more of it. And I don't think it can hurt to share with you guys as the viewer, just to open up some awareness.
I think oddly enough, it gets some media attention.
It does,
but I think there's a view on it that is it's not accurate. I just think when people hear the word, they assume one thing.
That is very true.
You and Ash, we talked about it, and you and Ash said, yeah, we instantly think the movie Taken 3, or right. Taken.
Taken, just 1, 2, and 3. Right?
Yeah, Taken. You take your pick. Liam Neeson, you're great. And yeah, that is absolutely a huge part in it, and there are millions of suffering from that. Yeah. But today we're talking about sex trafficking, not specifically just, kidnapping and that. No, we're talking as a whole.
Yeah, because it's happening not only, guys, it's very common. You type in sex trafficking on Google and these very explicit photos are going to come up, and that stuff obviously is going on.
Absolutely.
But stuff in your backyard that you guys actually have no idea, in your homes.
I think that's even more. So I want to be ultra sensitive today.
Yes.
So I don't want to downplay anything. I want to say there are things that are occurring. It is hard to see, is hard to hear, is hard to try to understand, as the whole kidnapping and putting people into actual sex slavery is. I believe that there are other types and there's other angles here that are being done that people don't even realize.
Right.
And the only reason this was brought up is there's a gentleman named Jocko Boyens. He's actually the creator of a 501c3 called Share Together. He's been battling in the sex trafficking game since 2001, and he recently came to my father's church and he did a 2-hour just public speaking event, and my dad was blown away.
Wow.
I have 2 daughters.
Mm-hmm.
I have 2 young sons. I have an adult son who really kind of statistically doesn't apply anymore because he's out of that age.
Right.
But all my other children do. So it became kind of personal for me.
For sure.
And the more I dug into it, the more I looked into it, the more I educated myself. I'm like, man, this is something we should probably share.
No doubt.
And even if you don't have children, if you don't have children or you're a young person, this is still for you. Because at the end of the day, we all can do things. If you're a teenager, there are definitely things you should be doing, not only to protect yourselves, protect those who are around you. If you don't have children, I'm sorry. We're going to ask you to be a human. We're going to ask you to be aware for other people who aren't being aware, to help those who you don't even know, and just really help raise awareness of what we should be looking for and things that we should be more educated on.
No doubt, because I think, guys, when we hear sex trafficking, there's no surprise that sex trafficking is happening in every major city in the United States. And then, of course, it's happening, worldwide. But you're going to be surprised as you guys hear and learn today. I'm talking this stuff is literally happening in our backyard.
Yeah.
So just tune in with us today and just at least let's find something together what we can take away from this show, because like we said, Mark touched on it. Obviously the media is covering this. They are. But I don't think you can cover this topic too much, because awareness needs to be spread, and there's some ears in our society today that need to hear it, I think, from a different angle and a different light because of the things that can be put in action, not only as an individual, but as a family, as a unit, as one, to prevent this stuff happening moving forward.
Yeah, and I know people will listen to this and be like, okay, well, this is kind of an odd topic for you guys' podcast.
Fair enough.
But I think for us, the way I look at it is I know that we have listeners who don't watch the news, don't read a newspaper, and they get a lot of current events from you and I.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel a little bit of responsibility to use our platform.
Yeah.
Right now to inform other people, maybe on things that they haven't heard or haven't seen, and just try to do our part. And I'm here to tell you, this will not be the only episode on this.
No. We are actually in the works of lining up something very special for you guys.
Yeah, because like I said, I think, and like Josh has said multiple times too, I think this is something that we can talk about over and over, and each time you'll learn something new. But the truth is we're actually the only ones that can stop it.
Correct. Yeah.
It is, unfortunately, it is a consumer market.
It is. Yeah, literally.
So if there are no consumers, there is no market.
Right.
So, yeah. But before we get started,
Before we get going, guys, of course, we got to shout out the one and only Visionary Meals, guys,
Yeah.
a healthy meal prep service local to you here in Licking County. If you are from Licking County, if you are not in Licking County, I'm going to give you a little sneak peek on what's in the works right now. I'm not going to put a deadline on it because I learned that very early in my walk of entrepreneurship. Don't put deadlines on anything because you usually don't meet them. But if you are not here local to the central Ohio area and you're hearing about this Visionary Meals, how do I get it? Visionary Meals, guys, we're actually right now in the works to get this product to you nationwide. All right. And what that entails of, basically, we need to find a way to reformulate our packaging so you guys can receive this food untampered, as fresh as can be, guys. So right now we are diving into what this task entails. And let me tell you, the list is long, but we got a great team surrounded around us, just finding every puzzle piece that we need to find to put together so this is done right for you guys. And I'll tell you, it's going to be something special, and it's going to change the game even more.
yeah, and it'll be fantastic because honestly, we know that the product speaks for itself. We just want to make sure by the time it gets to you, whether you're in Cali, Texas, Minnesota,
Wherever.
It's still speaking good.
Yep.
So that's a big deal right there. But yeah, that's exciting.
That's good stuff. That's good stuff. So, guys, all right, we're going to dive into this topic, sex trafficking. Okay, it's very common, I think, as a listener, the viewer, to kind of hear that and almost numb to it, because media does talk about it and we hear it. We do hear it constantly. You don't have to go far to hear about sex trafficking. So as Mark and I are really going to share some, not only just facts, but things that are occurring in our backyard, and angles that you as the viewer might not even have ever thought of, like, oh, wow, that's actually considered sex trafficking?
I think the way to look at this, and this is something we do on this show a lot, we give you what mainstream title, which in this case is sex trafficking. But I think for all the listeners and viewers, is a way to look at this is think exploitation.
Correct.
Because as you break this down, exploitation is exactly what's occurring. Okay, here's a fun fact for you. About 40.3 million people in the world are suffering from some form of sex trafficking.
Correct.
Okay. So now not all of those are in the way we think of it as in forced sexual labor. That's about 5 million.
Right, because there is a difference between human trafficking and sex trafficking.
Correct.
A lot of my studies,
Correct.
I was really hard kind of finding that, breaking that line between what's human trafficking and what's sex trafficking.
Correct. So when you think about that, and then you retitleize it as exploitation, you have there's tens of millions that are in forced marriages, which sex exploitation is involved in.
Right.
You have forced labor. You have obviously just human trafficking. You have sex trafficking. Mm-hmm. I think that the staggering numbers, though, when you start thinking about this, is we're not talking about just women. We are talking about men and boys as well. But over 1 million of those are what they call children. Mm-hmm. And that Jocko Boyen, one of the craziest things I think I've ever heard in my entire life, I actually think it is the craziest thing I've ever heard of in my entire life. He's been in this game since 2001. It's 18, almost 20 years, right?
And where's he from?
He's from South Africa.
Okay.
He is an American citizen.
Okay.
So he's a CEO of a company here, but he also runs that 501c3.
Okay.
But this is very dear near to him. I mean, South Africa has a large issue with this as well.
No doubt.
The youngest child his group has ever rescued from sex trafficking is 2 years old.
That's gross.
I was done. I was like, I don't even know where to go with this.
It's almost unbelievable.
Yeah. And to listen to this man talk, and if you want, there's some good information out there on him. Obviously, you can look up YouTube. But there's a movie that he directed called 8 Days.
Okay.
And 8 Days is based upon firsthand encounter from a 16-year-old girl in Texas. And she was kidnapped for 8 days. And I don't want to go into the details of the movie because I really want you to go see it. But for over 8 days, she was...
This is obviously based on a true story.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
She had to encounter over 50 men in 8 days. And when it's all said and done, they basically said, she'll never be able to have children again. And it has taken a lot of work to get her reproduction area even remotely back to normal.
Well, just to back that stat up, guys, an average woman has to have sex with a man 10 to 15 times a night.
Yeah.
This is every day.
Yeah.
This is every day. So it's gross.
So there's going to be a lot of statistics on here, folks. So when we brought it up, sex trafficking, and we went on to the term of exploitation, understand this. This is happening in various forms. So, of course, we have kidnapping. Right. He said one of the other target areas, unfortunately, is the foster program. My wife and I have talked about fostering for years. Children are near and dear to us, to provide them a home, love and safe. And to think that these kids think they're going to that safe environment just for these people to just
so these
abuse
kids that
them.
Are getting fostered are getting abused sexually.
There are predators who are becoming foster parents just for the specific reason to traffic the kids they foster.
That amazes me that they're able to, because I know individuals that are foster parents, and it's so hard. The process is so
to get
hard
certified.
To get certified.
To get certified. Yeah.
So what that tells me is these are everyday, average, normal people.
So yeah. So Jocko Boyens, he even said it. He said one of the problems that we need to fix, he said, is the political side of it.
Yeah.
He said there needs to be more work done. And whether you agree with this man, whether you like this man, whether you're a Dem, a Republican, it doesn't matter at this point in time. Just for this, and he said it, and I was blown away. He said, no bias aside, he said, Donald Trump has done more for sex trafficking than any other president.
Yep.
And he goes, I've been doing this almost 20 years.
Wow.
Because of stuff like that. Because there are leaks where these people are getting into these legitimate type of practices, and then they're exploiting it literally at the cost of these children.
Right.
But it's not just there, too. You have what they call family trafficking. You have these parents who are trafficking their own children.
Man.
Their own children. And Demi Moore just came out with her own memoirs.
Yep.
And she said in her memoir, when she was 16 years old, her mom basically sold her to a man for the night for $500. That is exploitation. That is sex trafficking.
Yeah.
This has been going on for decades.
Oh, my gosh, yeah. Yeah.
But there's an article that they shared in research, and there was a father who was trafficking his 13-year-old daughter. 13-year-old daughter. I have a 16-year-old daughter and I have an 8-year-old daughter, and this just rips my heart out to think about this. She was seeing 10 to 15 men a day. This is this man's daughter. People that were busted when this all happened. She was rescued. Thank God. Praise God, she was rescued. Principal of the local high school, city council members, they were all part of her consumers.
They were involved. They
were part of her consumers.
Oh my goodness.
And when they asked the dad, what he was thinking, this is his response. I thought it was a good way to, save up and pay for her college. That was his rationale.
I'm speechless.
I mean, I cannot get my mind around, and here's what it is, the lack of love and compassion. That is your child. I don't even care if it isn't your child. That is a child.
Right. That's unbelievable.
And these consumers, I'm here to tell you, American government, the consumer needs to be held just as accountable as the pimp or the overseer of these children, because without a consumer, you don't have a product.
Correct.
And if we're just slapping them on the wrist and we're giving them the, whatever it is, suspended sentences, you've got to file as a sexual predator for the rest of your life, that ain't enough.
No.
That ain't enough. Because we are ruining a generation. generations. We're ruining them. And it's just unacceptable. I mean, my wife and I sat down to watch this movie, and we wanted our children to watch it, which I'm here to tell you, it's not graphic. So you don't have to worry about watching it with your children from that standpoint. But I'm here to tell you, the information is unbelievably eye-opening. Our two high school age sons, they were speechless.
Yeah.
They were speechless.
Well, I think that's extremely, smart of you guys. Encourage your kids, I think, to watch something like
Yes.
that, because at that age, man, we are so blinded, I think, and just have no idea.
You think you're immortal, you're immune.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just being able to depict just the gruesomeness, I guess.
Well,
to
the young
this.
lady that acted in the movie, she did a phenomenal job of making it feel real.
Yeah.
As a father, like I was crushed for her.
Right.
And I mean, it had an impact on me, and it makes me think about some of the stances we take as parents, some of the expectations we have for our children. And what it is I thought watching the movie, and I know people can say, I can't believe you let your child watch that movie. If you're out there saying, I can't believe you let your child watch the movie, understand this. I feel like what I did is I gave my child confidence. I gave them confidence to say that if I even remotely feel in this type of situation, I'm out of there. Or if I see one of my friends, something like this remotely happening, I'm going to step up and help them.
Right.
Because if there is no education, there is no action.
You have to make these
Yeah.
kids aware. You have to, and I'm sure
It's not always fun.
No, I'm sure just like you did, either throughout the movie or probably at the end of the movie, you guys need to have a family discussion.
Yes, yes.
Talk about, hey, X, Y, and Z. Like, have you ever seen this stuff happening, or if this stuff encounters, you need to be aware.
Well, it's simple rules, and it wasn't that long ago. We live in Lincoln County. I mean, it's a small rural county in Ohio, Central Ohio, and there was an attempted kidnap on her at our local Target. And my 16-year-old daughter comes home and she's talking about it. And then that's the time where you say, okay, this is why we tell you, you're not allowed to go those places by yourself.
Yeah.
This is why we don't let you go to the major shopping mall areas by yourself.
Right.
And you sure as heck aren't there after dark by yourself.
Well, speaking in local, guys, for listening out of state, we are local here in Ohio, Central Ohio. Something that literally happened a rock throw away from us just recently on the news. And that's why when you brought this topic to me, I was like, this is great. It's such a prevalent topic, relevant topic right now. More than 100 people were just recently arrested in a massive human trafficking and an internet sex thing.
I think it's like 144 or something crazy like that.
It was, yeah. And something about 24. So what happened on this investigation? It was I don't remember exactly how long this investigation lasted, but basically what these men were doing, and we're going to touch here in a little bit on the social media and the stuff that you put out there on the internet and how it can affect you. But these guys, so how it started, these individuals, these men that were wanting to have sex with these young females, would hit them up on social media and would basically bring them to this designated home. And the way the FBI, local law enforcement, were able to, put a stop to this is they posed as if they were trying to bring these individuals to a home, or they were posed to as a little girl, I guess I should say, or as the female to these males, and these males would come to the home to meet them, and the FBI, local law enforcement guys would bust them right on the spot.
Yep.
And this, like I said, guys, this is not just your Taken movie. This is not just stuff that's happening in Africa or overseas.
Oh no, it's happening right here.
This is happening in your backyard. I mean, it's amazing. The stat you just share with them, the stat you just shared with me of Jacob, is that his name?
Oh, Jocko.
Jocko, excuse me. That shared with.
So Jocko was at a local church.
Yeah.
And the room was filled. And this, once again, this goes back to retitalizing sex trafficking, understanding it as a whole, it's exploitation. And he looked out across this church membership, and he told them statistically, 20% of the people in here are traffickers. And this is all you heard.
Crickets.
He said, "You're traffickers." And my dad was there. He was present. And he said, he looked around and he goes, people are just, their mouths are dropped. But when you understand that we're talking about exploitation as a whole, there's a lot of guilt there.
Yeah.
And you brought up that article about the large bust there in Central Ohio, Columbus, Ohio, actually. Some of those names on that list,
Oh, I know.
there's a lot of shock going around Central Ohio.
Priest.
But
And-
there is a comment that was made by one of the predators themselves, and he said, "Well, I actually never met any of these girls." Well, I'm here to tell you, it doesn't take you meeting them because they're making money off of you.
Right.
Even if it's fantasy stuff that's online, they're making money off of you. And if you're one of those people and you're listening to this, please unfollow us. Don't be a part of what we're trying to do here. You need to go get yourself right because you're a consumer. And as long as they're making money off you, whether you touch her, breathe on her, look at her physically in person, it doesn't matter. You are adding to the problem.
Yeah. Well, this article that I found, there was so much good stuff in it. I had to bring it up in today's talk. So it has everything to do with how these individuals are using the internet.
Yeah.
And it talks about, so what it says here, quote, it says the transition from messaging to meeting a trafficker in person is becoming less prevalent, just like you said. As technology is playing a larger role in trafficking, this allows some traffickers to be able to exploit youth without meeting face to face. I mean, it's literally backing up everything you just said.
Yep.
Social media helps to mask traditional cues that alert individuals to a potential dangerous person. So while 58% of victims eventually meet their traffickers face to face, 42% who initially met their trafficker online never met their trafficker in person and were still trafficked.
Absolutely. You're still trafficked. And here's the thing, when you think about this, of course, when you meet in person, there's physical harm that's done, there's physical damage. But most people understand your physical scars heal a lot faster than your emotional and mental.
Correct.
Whether you meet in person or not, the emotional and the mental scars are real.
Yes.
And that is where you get, now look at our suicide rates. That is where you see those dangers occurring.
Well, Mark, even more so prevalent with social media, and social media is just the start of it for these traffickers.
Absolutely.
Because all it takes for these traffickers to do is to get you to send some explicit stuff, and they use it against you. They're going to say, hey, we're going to go show this. We're going to go show this to your dad's boss if you don't do what we need you to do. We're going to post this all over your school.
That's
if you
the
don't need what we do.
exploitation.
That's all it is.
But see, that's
and
what
now
I'm
now they're at the hands of these
and when we're
traffickers.
talking about this, that's why you got to get out of that traditional mode of my child or this individual has been kidnapped. No.
Yeah.
This is happening in your local high school. I promise you right now, wherever you are and listening, your local college, your local high school, your local workplace.
Oh yeah.
It's happening because it's the old-fashioned blackmail. And then you're worried, what's everybody going to think? How is this going to work? That's how it happens. It's happening from middle schoolers doing it to middle schoolers, high schoolers doing it to high schoolers. You cannot look at sex trafficking and say, there's a dangerous individual who you could pick up out of a lineup in a heartbeat. That's the guilty person. No. It could be the guy or the girl right around the corner.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. That's usually what it is. It's usually, a lot of times it can be a family member. And studies are showing.
And it's absolutely happening on a regular basis. It's absolutely horrible. It's absolutely horrible.
Yeah.
Like, it's gut-wrenching to think about it.
It is.
And you know what? No offense, parents. You parents who are allowing your child this free way of reach with social media, you really need to think about that because they're putting information out there. They're putting pictures out there, even if they're not in nudes. Now these predators have a picture of what your child looks like. They have information about what your child likes and dislikes and who they like and who their friends are and who their parents are. They use that all against them.
Parents, listen up here. This, Markham,
No, you're fine.
You hit the nail on the head there because parents, we all need to hear this because if your child is one that has Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, all these other dating apps that they have, and I've seen 6, 7, 8-year-olds on social media.
Yeah.
Where posting whatever. It's irresponsible. It's sad that some of these parents are either allowing it or don't know about it. And if you don't know about it, parent, it's your own fault.
Yeah.
You're not involved enough.
Yeah.
But based on what Mark just said, how these predators are working. So as a parent, listen, if your child has social media, you need to listen to this because what they are doing, they're learning about the girls, your daughter or boy, and pretend to understand them. And so these girls who are feeling not understood, not loved, not beautiful, these guys are very good at a sort of pretending that they are all
feeding
these
them
thighs,
what they want
exactly,
to hear.
to understand them and know how you feel, saying you're beautiful and just filling the hole that these girls are feeling. I mean, there's examples of the study showed that these predators, they literally know what to look for within a comment on a post or a tag on a post, basically stuff that says, nobody gets me. I'm sick of being single. I'm so ugly. How do I look? My life sucks. She's not my true friend. These predators are literally preying on these types of comments. And they're taking our children out one by one.
Yeah.
Left and right.
Yeah.
Every day. Every second.
Yeah.
It's sad.
And for all you parents who say, yeah, but we make our children have private accounts, that does not stop their other friends who don't have private accounts from sharing and reposting and retweeting. That doesn't stop, because then what happens? What's social media all about? How many followers do I got?
Exactly.
Because then they hit them up, they become a follower, and now they're in that private account. Come on, this is not rocket science.
It's not hard.
I mean, my children have known for a long, long time. We don't give cell phones out till freshman year. It's just a rule in our house.
Yep.
Okay. Number one, because I'm cheap. And number two, because I don't like the reliance of this.
For sure.
But we still don't allow social media in our house. Right. You want social media? It's going after you're an adult.
Yeah, fair enough.
And there have been multiple times. Our sons really didn't care too much. Our 16-year-old daughter cares. I get it though. At her age,
all of her friends have it.
At her age, what it is, she feels like she's missing out on so much.
Mark, it's a culture thing because everyone else has it.
I'm here to tell you, over the years, there's been many, many, many times she's come to us and she's like, I'm so thankful you don't let us have it, because it's like a scapegoat for her.
That's awesome.
Because she doesn't have to get in the middle of it.
Yeah. That's
because
perfect.
Even she sees from the outside the damage that it causes. And I'm not saying social media as a whole is bad. It has a purpose.
Correct.
What's happened though is it's literally evolved and morphed into this machine that has nothing but evil in it.
Well, Mark, I'll even say for myself, and again, this is myself being vulnerable to you viewers. I'm very bold about my faith.
Yeah.
I like to say that I like to think that I'm a mature individual. I have my immaturity at times, obviously, but I obviously use social media for the main purpose for myself for business. And then with that, I do stay connected. You know, I follow a select handful of people that I like to stay connected with. Yeah. But there is no way around it. There is no way around of the sin and evil and the temptation and the corruption that is out there with social media. I mean, my side of vulnerability here to you guys is, you know, I even find my eyes wandering places they should never wander.
Absolutely.
And it's so, why? Because it's so easy. It's
in the palm of your hand.
It's simple. It's tempting. You know, to make the argument, you know, someone should wait until they're 18. You know, I could easily make the argument that really, at times, I wish social media just didn't even exist, because the amount of corruption within the tool itself, it's almost overtaken the good. And this isn't meant to be a social media bashing.
No, but you need to understand the dangers.
And sex trafficking, guys, has increased from social media. I mean, that is a fact. The numbers and basically just the way to consume and the way to be involved in these sex trafficking acts has just become so much more easy.
And it's allowed it to freely evolve.
Correct. Yes.
Instead of having to drive to a major metropolis and pick up a hooker,
right,
or a prostitute,
you
now do it on your phone.
Correct. And you can hide it so much better.
Yep.
I mean, you could still probably find them today. I mean, there's literally Craigslist ads.
Absolutely.
Where you could find these individuals. And don't be mistaken. These individuals that are being sold or being projected onto these apps or that site or that ad, they didn't put that on there, obviously.
No.
You guys need to know that was put on by the trafficker itself.
No, I think, but here's the thing. This is not just a typical criminal. This isn't what we think as criminals. This isn't people who look like they should be in prison.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about from politicians to husbands and wives and people that you respect and you sit on PTA meetings with. Everybody involved. I mean, it's getting to the point. It's getting to the point that America is becoming numb. And I'll tell you why I say that. So when you think of the top 5 states, and you can look this up, your top 5 states who have the highest rate of sex trafficking, you have California, Texas, Florida, Ohio, New York. Now, most of those people will tell you 2 things. Border control is an issue.
Yeah.
And freeway systems, ginormous.
Yes.
Okay.
That's huge.
But when I say numb, I'll tell you why. Because right now in California, politicians are trying to pass legislation. I hope you digested your dinner. Are trying to pass legislation to make the age of consent 10. 10 years old. You're talking 4th grade age of consent. My mind cannot wrap around it. Like I have passed legislation personally. I have been in the state house of the state of Ohio and passed legislation. I know what it takes.
Right.
There is so much information and reasoning and statistics that are necessary to get people to buy in. I can't even imagine what you bring to the table in a caucus.
That's what
and say, hey, this is a great idea.
That's what I'm trying
Why?
to think of exactly. Why? What do they what benefits from this?
Nothing. Like I think of,
Because if anybody has an argument for that, try me, because I will tear it apart.
please do.
That is just, I can't.
Because the first thing I'm going to look at you and just say common sense.
Seriously though.
Common sense says what?
Oh my God.
How do you look yourself in the mirror as a politician? How you look yourself in the mirror and say, yes, I'm going to attach my name to that bill. You must be crazy.
That's California for us.
You must be crazy.
Man.
I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. It just blows my mind. Like if you, it takes 5 seconds to Google something. It takes 5 minutes to watch a video, whether it's a current video or whether it's an interview of a young man or lady who's been exploited, and just see the pain in their face and hear it in their voice. And you mean to tell me that you would be supportive of something like that?
It's crazy. Dude.
We as Americans, this is why I want to talk about this. We as Americans, we got to take America back.
Right.
Because this is a problem.
Well, it is a problem. And don't be just sitting there and be like, okay, well, that's not me. I never think of to do anything like that. That's great. I'm good.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean we as a society can't do something about it. And don't just sit there and be like, man, it's such a big problem, bro. Like, I don't know even know where to start. You can start by educating the ones that you are around,
Absolutely.
educating your family, educating your loved ones. Then you can dive into different organizations out there to donate if you feel
Or I'll tell you where you start. You recognize something that's out of place, and instead of minding your own business and ignoring it like most people do, they put their head down and walk to their car. No, go stand up for that person.
That's why we are
Go
here.
stand up for that person.
Yeah.
The young lady that was exploited, she became an advocate, and they said, what is something that you want? This is what she said. I want people to stop being embarrassed to make a mistake. She goes, because if somebody was at the party where I was taken from, would have just said, no. Something's wrong with her. She either had too much to drink or she's been drugged. I'm not letting you take her. You don't know her. I know her. If someone would have just done that, it would have prevented the whole situation.
Right.
And here's the thing. So some people say, well, what happens if they actually, that's all it is and it's no big deal. Okay, then absorb the 15 seconds of embarrassment where they yell at you and say, leave me alone.
Right.
At least you tried.
At least you tried. Yeah.
I don't even know where to go.
It's
like, since when did we stop caring about each other? I don't need to know your history. I don't need to know your name. Here's what I need to know. Is this safe or is this not safe? Because you are someone's daughter. You are someone's son. Whether I know them or not, that is what it is. Because I know how I would feel.
Mm-hmm. Brother, $150.2 billion
In sex trafficking.
was per year in forced labor or in sex trafficking.
When was this?
That was 2016 or 17, maybe?
150.2
billion.
billion with a B.
With a B. 2018, 51.6% of sex trafficking in the U.S. involved children. Like, if that doesn't make your stomach turn, I don't know what does.
But this is where I'm telling you, I'm talking to everybody out there. You're 18 years or older, you get to vote. Stop watching mainstream media. Stop listening to fake news. Stop doing all that stuff and do your own stinking research.
Yeah.
Look at what bills these people have signed. Look at the stuff that they support.
Right.
Because if they even remotely are near something like this, why would they ever deserve your vote?
Right. Right.
Because this is unacceptable.
10 years old.
Yeah.
Buddy, my first argument is, other than obviously common sense, is as a female, I know females mature faster than males, but they're not
that fast.
They ain't mature yet. Their
fast.
productive system
Not that fast.
literally is not ready for like something like that. It's mind-boggling. It's almost like inhumane. And you know what? It is.
Hallie's
inhumane.
about to be 8 years old next month.
I can't even imagine.
8 years old. 2 years from now. You know what she's still going to be doing? She's still going to be playing with dolls.
That's how it better be.
and all of a sudden she's supposed to be of age for consent, you must be crazy. That girl doesn't know what peanut butter and jelly sandwich she wants in her lunch every day.
Right.
And she's supposed to know the type of man she's want to be with. Stop.
Yeah.
But that's the whole point of the show. There's a point of show is to educate you. There's a point of show to sit on here and challenge you to be a better human,
Yeah.
to not just be a walker by, to take a risk,
Right.
to save and to help somebody else. But the other side of this, I want to make sure people understand this. It's time for you to get better.
We have to. Everybody, ourselves included.
Because I don't care how old you are. I don't care, I always go out in groups of 2 or 3, whatever it is. You need to prepare yourself. You need to prepare yourself, whether it's carrying mace, whether it's going on Amazon and buying a cheap taser, whether it's making sure that where you park,
Right.
what your exit strategies are,
Yeah.
what things look like. I learned something the other day. They're marking cars now. So they'll put like a sign on the back bumper, or they'll put something in like the windshield. So like the people see that someone might be doing that, but that person goes away, but there's someone else watching. So then they follow them out of there.
Oh, really? Huh.
And I didn't even think about that. And so now I get to go educate my children. Hey, when you're parking and you come out, you need to do a 360 of your vehicle.
For sure. Yeah.
Make sure that you're not followed.
Right.
Make sure that they can't track you like that. It's simple things. Parents, your children have cell phones. Make sure there's some type of app or whatever it is that you know where they are.
Oh, yeah.
And if the minute your child screams invasion of privacy, tell them, suck it up, buttercup. I don't
Right.
care.
It's for your safety.
First of all, I'm going to tell you right now, my children know, don't come to me thinking you're going to get an explanation, because you ain't getting an explanation. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to do it. And if you want to argue, I'm just going to say, I love you, and I'm going to walk away, because you don't deserve my explanation. I'm doing this for the betterment of you,
Yeah.
for you. We need to be better at that.
We do.
Our college kids, think about this. Share your location. If I'm going to go to a party, I'm going to share my location.
Yep.
Just a trusted friend, whatever it is. We've got to start thinking proactively, because this at 150 billion in a year, it's not going away anytime soon.
No, it's just going to increase.
Absolutely.
It's going to increase because especially on the internet and social media speaking, the rates are increasing not by necessarily just the tools, but the rates are increasing because on the internet, these traffickers can traffic multiple people at the same time.
Yeah.
And it's not slowing down. Our internet is just growing. Our access is
Well, and we talked about this
to
on
the
a
World
show.
Wide Web
We
is
talked about
growing.
this on a show. How many people have access to the internet?
You're right.
I mean, it's worldwide.
It is. It is.
Places you would not think have internet access have internet access, and everybody's got a cell phone.
Guys, I get it. It's easy to hear everything today and just be like, yes, we know it's a problem. It's easy to be like, all right, you guys are beating a dead horse, but I can't express enough to like as a whole. As like Mark touched on in some of these videos, I actually watched some of these individuals, and if you're curious to just hear some topics or some stories that you want to change your life, go on YouTube, type in sex trafficking, and there's 50 to 100, maybe more, of TED Talks on these individuals, guys. And we shared this topic today to obviously educate some of you. To as like we've said, it's easy to get numb on this topic because it is shared. You do hear about it so much, but I think as a society as a whole, like we've already stated, but I'm going to beat the dead horse on this one. I think we can just be better inside our homes, parents. Again,
sit down with your children.
And that's the thing, and that's really the final point that I wanted to get to on this topic is, parents, if you don't have a good relationship with your child, I encourage you to begin fixing that, because 1 in 7 kids that run away from home will be sex trafficked. 1 in 7. All right. And if you do have a good relationship with your child, they will open up to stuff that maybe is happening to them on social media and say, hey mom, hey dad, I just had this weird interaction. He seems like a really nice guy, so I'm kind of entertaining it. And you as the parent can be like, whoa, I see 20 different red flags.
Yeah.
You have to have that relationship with your child, guys. I highly encourage it. It is a must with a healthy relationship for a healthy daughter, for a healthy son. And I have said son and men because this does happen amongst the boys out there. It is more common for the females, especially on the sex side, but it goes across the board.
But I'll tell you a fun fact. You brought up runaways.
Yeah.
Statistically speaking, a third of runaways are approached by a pimp or a trafficker within 48 hours of running away. Now you say, well, how's that happen? Because they put it all over their social media.
Correct.
So if you think they're not watching you, they are.
They are.
They're waiting for their opportunity.
Yep.
Within 48 hours.
That's amazing. I didn't know that. That's amazing.
Yeah. Wow. They are watching us. They're watching your kids. They're watching what they post. Josh brought it up earlier. They look for the trigger words.
Yep.
They look for those ways of weaseling themselves in there. And psychologically speaking, the stronger relationships you have in your home, the less likely it is that your child looks for those outside of the home. That you can look that up. I mean, from a psychological standpoint, the statistics show that. And parents, just because your child may say some hurtful things or try to push you away, don't give in. Maybe change your tactic or your approach, but don't just give in. Yeah. And don't get stuck saying it's just a phase, because by the time they get out of that phase, it may be too late.
Well, one of the most common things that predators look for from, again, stuff being put out there on the internet by these children is a status or on a picture, a bio on a picture, basically saying, I'm tired of being treated like a kid.
Yeah. There you go.
There it is.
There you go.
That's the most common one. And as soon as they see that, it's like it's bait hanging out in front of someone.
And if you think that you live in a protected bubble or that would never happen to us, there's a new commercials for obviously the opiate issue. They call it Denial Ohio. I'm telling you, it's called Denial America. It's everywhere. Yeah. It's everywhere. I want to challenge you guys. I want to challenge everybody that listens and views this. Here's my challenge to you, because I promise you I'm this way, and I know Josh is this way too. If you see something, act.
Yeah.
Just act. Don't get caught saying it's none of my business. Don't get caught saying I don't want none of that drama. Just act. And if you're wrong, then thank God that you were wrong. Mm-hmm. And if you're right, thank God you were right, because it's a win-win.
Right.
It's a win-win.
It's a great way to look at it, Mark.
Yeah.
That's a good point. That's a good point. This is a heavy topic, guys. I understand that.
And like we said earlier, we will be resurfacing on this. We're going to have a guest on the show. And she's got a lot of knowledge on this, because
incredible story.
It's important enough to revisit. And I think Josh touched on earlier with the TED Talks. Not only will you be educated, not only will you become more compassionate and understanding, but I believe that you'll be inspired. I think you will be inspired, because some of these individuals, they are amazing people, and what they've done through poor experience, they've done great things.
They have.
And that's what this show is about.
Right.
This show is about adversity. This show is about being knocked down and standing up. That's what we're about. That's what we're constantly talking about, being the best you for everybody else, so that you can help other people.
That's what it's about.
It's not about being selfish. It's about helping other people.
Well said.
Yeah.
Well said, brother.
Okay.
That's good.
You know, this is a super serious topic, and we honestly could not even remotely provide a topic like this, except for our production company, Tip Hat Media. We love Lincoln Meikle. He's out in St. Louis right now, finishing up a wrap on a shoot. He's doing amazing things. And if it's drone work, if it's pictures, if it's audio, if it's visual, if it's obviously production, he's your guy.
Yes.
And if you need it, reach out to him. tiphatmedia.com. He's at tiphatmedia on Instagram. Find the guy. I promise you'll sit down with him for 10 minutes and you'll be highly impressed. So we could not thank him enough. We can't thank him enough for the platform he's given us. Tip Hat Media, Lincoln Meikle. He's a man.
He is.
Yeah.
Good stuff. All right, guys. Hey, thanks for tuning in with us again. You can find us on Instagram and Twitter, guys, sharing healthy stuff with all of you guys. Upcoming things, shows that we have coming up in the near kind of future. Different guests coming on here in the near future. New sponsor
coming on.
We do have a new sponsor, so wait on that. It's really exciting. We're super excited about that one.
Yeah,
so
really exciting.
That's fantastic. So again, we're on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, and of course YouTube. So if you don't mind, guys, hit that like button, subscribe. That way, if you subscribe, that way you know when our next show comes out. It'll pop up on your phone or whatever device you use. So again, hey, we appreciate you guys tuning in with us. Let's be better as a society, as a culture. Let's improve our homes. Let's improve our environments. And let's just keep loving each other. You feel me?
I do. I do.
I love it. Let's go. All right, that's good. Deliberately Linked, signing out.
See you next time.